this is the zone where I always get ticket at.
We always have a choice. At least I think we do. We can always use our voice. Without this to be true. We always have a choice.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of 18th Avenue Podcast. As you know, 18th Avenue Podcast is a podcast network that explores culture and people and stories. And if that's the kind of thing you're into, we are certainly glad to have you here. My name is Rico Bartles, and today joining me is our special guest.
Chandra Lockhart. Yes, so excited to be here.
Love that name, Chandra. Chandra.
Yes.
Okay, let's start right there. Where does your name come from?
It's Sanskrit. It means the moon. It's not my given name, though. Yeah, I was a part of a women's spiritual group for a long time, and on my 30th birthday, it just felt like a really momentous time in my life for me, like a passageway into adulthood, and I really wanted to mark that. And I know a lot of cultures have these ceremonies where they're given a new name, an adult name, and it just felt significant for me somehow. So my group of spiritual women, they picked a name for me. Yeah, and I was gifted to it in a beautiful ceremony on my birthday.
And how did you get, let's go back now, how did you get involved with the spiritualism?
Wow, that's a long story. I grew up in a kind of obscure Christian sect that had a lot of rules and things, and it kind of just didn't fit my nature. It was a long journey away from that. So I was exploring my spirituality and who I was as a person, and they were very supportive of me and very open. It was a group full of women from all sorts of different spiritual faiths. Some were like natives, some were goddess-orientated, some were Christian. So it just felt like a place where I could be who I was. So comfortable.
Isn't that beautiful when you walk into like the almost perfect party or the perfect room?
Yes.
Where you just feel everyone in there, you feel like you've known them for years and you feel connected. Is that kind of like what the experience would be for you?
Yeah, it was really like that. I felt held by these women, but also by the energy of the group. It was like a container, to unfold, to grow, and to learn. And I was so grateful for it at the time.
I know that spirituality can always be such a tricky thing. It's all about where you're coming from, what your background is. I was telling a friend of mine, actually on the podcast yesterday, we were discussing how she acquired spirituality. And I know I come to know God through my mother, right? And that's how it was presented to me. It wasn't by force, it wasn't by with the twist of my wrist or anything. I could get out whatever, but the African tradition, you better go to church, otherwise you get your behind whooped. So I grew up that way, but my mother was very open-minded. Yeah. See, she didn't really, the best way to describe her belief, she didn't really belong to any particular group per se. So she wasn't like a Pentecostal, she wasn't like a Jehovah's Witness. She would worship with anyone who was worshiping God. I guess, she never told it to me like that, but I guess by definition, God was basically, there was only one God. It wasn't this segregation and separations of different gods that we see all the time being thrown in our faces. So when did you first get introduced to religion?
I was born into a particular Christian sect that was had a lot of rules, especially for women. And I went to church like from the moment, like after I was born, when my mother could first bring me with my father. Yeah.
And do you care to disclose like what particular Christian group that was? Or?
It's the largest nameless Christian sect in the world. The people inside it refer to it as the truth, which is like really hard for me to say, because, truth is, is a powerful word, and people want to lay claim to it. And, it's come to mean something different to me now. Yeah.
We always have a choice.
So when did you realize that, okay, this is good, but like, when did you feel like, okay, you finally had a voice, like you gained your independence and could maybe branch away from that? Because those are really, really tough things to branch away from.
Really hard because my whole family was in it. We're talking like my great-grandparents, my grandparents, like my whole extended family. So to break away from that was a very difficult thing to do, It took years really until, I guess when I went to university, I took world religions.
Great.
And then I wrote my, year paper on the religion I grew up in. And the preachers, they were very, very angry and, talked to me a lot about blasphemy. And so there was a really marked point of separation there where I, for years, was ostracized by a lot of people in that faith, but thankfully not my parents.
That's wonderful. Everyone can go. Parents stay, and that's a blessing in this
Yeah.
case.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you. Now let's go back to. So where did you grow up? We'll talk about back home. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in rural Nova Scotia. My whole family, my grandparents had a farm, so we had a property next to the farm. So it was like I grew up on a farm. So a very, idyllic childhood, playing down in the ravine and the creeks and lots of games in the woods. Star Wars, we played Star Wars. I wind my hair in little buns. I was always Princess Leia. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I must have been excited. Yeah. Okay, street hockey I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been exciting. So were you born there as well?
I was, yeah.
Okay. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. And thank you once again for sharing that because with these things you meet people all the time in passing, but until like you can really connect with them and try to understand where they come from, you just don't know people's stories and everybody have a story. Let me ask you a question. Picture that you are 15 to like 17, skip that year in between. You're in high school. What did you want to be?
It was a very difficult time for me because of the religion I was growing up in. Like there was no television or radio, so it was really hard for me to connect to children of that time. So I don't know that I spent much time thinking about the future because I was actually, really depressed and feeling like, the inner me was really at odds with, what I was taught that was true and I should be doing. And so there was, rebellion in there and, a very tumultuous time for me. Yeah. I actually tried to commit suicide when I was 16. Yeah. Yeah, it was really hard, and thankfully I didn't succeed because, I'm in a really, really good place in my life now. And
what did you do when you said you tried? What exactly did you do? Do you care to share that?
I was really at odds with my father. There was a lot of, church was numerous times a week. There were sing-songs and lots of different things and on Friday night, and I wanted to go out with my friends, and I was just really finding a lot of contention. So it was really, in a way, I was depressed, but it was an impulsive move for me. I was just so angry. I swallowed a whole bottle of Gravol. Yeah. And then kind of realized, what I was doing. I heard my mom outside my room, and just my heart was like, oh, what would that mean for her? And so I went and told her, and she took me to the hospital. Yeah, and had my stomach pumped, and then I would say that was actually a pivotal point for me. My mother is a healer, alternative healer, and so just things kind of shifted in that way. I realized that maybe I did want to be here, and just slowly work through my fears around the religion and who I was as a person. Yeah.
We always have a choice.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I remember in high school, there was, I think, a particular case in high school that was reoccurring all the time about a young lady. But when you're young in those days too, you don't really, you don't, your definition of what it means then versus what it means now when you're in your 30s are totally, those are two different things. They're completely separated. But there was always this young lady that we would hear a story of who had attempted to either take her own life, either in the school washroom or at home or different things like that. I mean, ultimately, during that period, she never succeeded, but I'm not sure what happened afterward. And that is probably the worst place that any young person can be feeling like that, and it's hard.
Yeah.
So did you have many friends at all? Were there people that you could talk to outside of your parents?
I didn't at the time, because I just had a really hard time relating to kids my age. So I actually started rebelling and sneaking out and, go drinking with kids like teenagers do, just like normal stuff, right? So then I started connecting to some kids, through the act of rebellion. But then it was really, hard for my parents, for sure, because they had different set of beliefs. Yeah, really, it was just getting through until I was able to leave home and find my own way.
Well, thank you again for sharing that. Let's get into alternative.
Yeah, my favorite.
Yes, let's get into alternative. So it's alternative medicine.
Yes.
Now, explain to us and the audience what that means, what it is exactly.
It's, in a way, really tricky to explain because it encompasses a broad scope. And because it's a lifelong love of mine, my mom was an alternative healer, so the way we bonded was to go to classes together. So I started out, we went to reflexology classes. So I've been a reflexologist since a teen. And but then I moved on into energy medicine, and there's many different types of energy medicine, and I'm trained in a lot of different ones. But, I guess just to simply say that, we're more than these bodies. If you want to say it down to the basic level, we're made of energy, and it depends on how we resonate as to, how we physically manifest. And so energy medicine is like tapping into, the energy form of our being, which, affects the physical.
I want to hear more. You said reflexology?
Yes, so reflexology actually mostly, there is body reflexology, but most reflexologists deal with the feet. And it's really fascinating because if you were to shrink a map of the human body down to the size of your foot and put it, overlay it on your feet, different pressure points on the feet actually relate to those areas of your body. Almost exactly. There's a few little variations. So you can actually work on the feet and affect the whole body. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
We always have a choice.
And it also, reflects the way life is. The smaller reflects the larger, right?
Wow, and I know absolutely nothing about this, so this is totally new to me.
Oh,
I'm
good.
like, give me more.
Well, I love, what I love about alternative healing and the things that I tend to gravitate towards is things that you can do for yourself. I love to teach people a little bit, simple techniques that can improve their lives and improve their health. And that's why I love like reflexology. Is it's like, okay, we all have feet, most of us anyway, so you can just rub your feet and it instantly has a positive benefit for your body, for yourself. Yeah.
That is amazing. That is so amazing.
Yeah.
So the next time I'm on a date, now you tell me this is okay. No, don't laugh. This is fun.
I'm just wondering where you're going.
Well, I'm going. Let me go. Let me get there first. So the next time I am on a date, right, and this beautiful young lady, and I'm, I can literally take her feet and kind of. Now, what exactly do I do with the feet? Do I massage it? Is kind of like the deal, or like what do I do?
Well, reflexology is a little bit different than massage, but yes, you could massage the feet to help the body, and even just like help, that would actually kick in your parasympathetic nervous system, so it would calm you, right? But you would hold the foot and you use your thumb to like kind of go into the different spots along the feet. So it's a little bit more, I guess, targeted than actually, massaging the foot. Yeah.
I want to know more about alternative healing now, because I feel like you're just touching the surface.
Oh, I know, and there's so much. We could go on for a long time.
My real love is energy medicine. Yeah.
How does that work?
So it's channeling. There is a universal healing energy available to all of us. And so really it's just being a channel. And for me, it's really just simple as like channeling love through to the person. And, when you create a higher vibration by putting your hands on somebody, or you don't actually even need to put your hands on someone, you're going to, change their energy.
Actually, now this is coming back to me. I actually know a little bit about this.
Yeah.
There is a very famous doctor. He's passed away now. I think his name was Dr. I wouldn't say Dr. Chibi, but it's not. I know for sure I'm saying it wrong. But his entire approach was, he was this black doctor living in the United States for a while, later on moved from the United States and went back home to Africa, and where he was literally healing people. So let's say if you came to him with problems, let's say you were a heavy drinker, right? He could literally heal you without having to give you all of these artificial medicines, doctor prescriptions, and things like that. So would that kind of like be related to what you're talking about?
He sounds like he was, a really powerful healer.
Yeah, he was able to, although officials claims that they was never really approved, but people came to him with all types of different illnesses like AIDS and cancer and all of these different things. In fact, there's a famous story of him where the U.S. government took him to court because they told him that he didn't have any certifications to practice what he was doing, and therefore they took him to court. But he wound up winning that case. I think it was like 40 patients or 70 patients that came forward to advocate on his behalf and revealing that in fact they were diagnosed with these things from an actual doctor with degree and certificate, but he was able to heal them.
This is a story that's happened more than once, for sure.
You're familiar with these things.
Yeah,
This is
sure.
Yeah, it's something that's like so close to my heart because it's very personal to me in my life. In my 20s, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So, these practices are not just something I do for others, it's something that I apply to my life on a daily basis for health and well-being.
It's so amazing. You're such an intriguing person to talk to. So, if I say I had a bad back, which I do often, like my lower bad back, what would be some easy kind of 1, 2, 3 steps, things that I can do maybe every day besides working out and lifting weights that I can do to say help me out a little bit, help me feel.
Well, if you were to use reflexology, I would probably actually direct you to your hands because it's almost easier. But along this ridge here, up to your thumb, you could just like massage that, and it would really So like there's almost a line, and you would feel just by kind of pressing in where the sore spots are and just like working those out, that would really help a lot. Or on your feet, it's like the same. It's this like ridge line, along here. So the low back would be down here, and then going, all the way up to where you're getting up to your toes. It's into the neck, and the head. The big toe is the head. But, massaging all of that and just finding, like, you just have to find the spots that feel tender and sore. And if you work them out, reflexology is actually, like, really amazing for back stuff.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. So I know that you are here now and you're here vacation. So this would be like a vacation for you, or just like a quick getaway for you?
It's turning into like a beautiful vacation that I wasn't expecting. Like someone, like I met you. Like how serendipitous was that? And it's like we're here doing this really cool thing.
We're doing this podcast.
I know.
People have no idea that we met right here.
Just in the backyard, and we started talking, and it's like, oh, now we're here talking about my favorite thing, and that people will be watching this and being like, oh, what's energy work, like, and it's just so simple. It's just like for your back too, like with energy work, you could just like put your hands on your back where it feels sore and just hold it and just imagine that you were like sending love to that area, and like it will change things for you. And anywhere you have like a hurt on your body, the easiest way is to sandwich it. So put you want to put put your hands between, and we often do that naturally. We stub our toe and we're like, oh, right?
Right, that's true.
It's a very natural thing to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is an amazing. This is probably one of the coolest podcasts I've had because of the way it came together and the things that I'm starting to learn and everything. Here's a question for you, and I love to ask this question. What is life?
Wow, that's huge. What is life for me?
Yes.
I really, truly believe that we're souls having a human experience. So for me, this is an opportunity to learn and to show up and love as much as I can. Like I truly believe love heals all. And so it starts with ourselves though, practicing compassion towards ourselves. Because I think, most of us, this world is a crazy place. And we're born to our parents, and they have their things, their stuff, their wounds. They do the best they can. And so hopefully we come to a point where, we feel enough love that we know that, that's the beacon.
We always have a choice.
Love has to start with something.
Yeah, if you don't know how to love yourself, and often people get hung up because then they think loving ourselves as being, it's vanity, right? We need to be humble, but love is the most humbling thing there is. Because when you feel love inside yourself, you soften. Like I can just tell by, like there's this energy that's happening between us right now. I can see, your eyes softened, your face softened. We're talking about this, it has effect even for us to talk about it, right? And so loving ourselves is the greatest gift we can give to the world, really, because if we're more loving, then every person we touch, every person we interact with is going to be affected by that in some way, and we don't even need to know how. It just, so many times in my life, people have come back and said, that moment was profound for me. And so it's just constantly a reminder for me to love more and more.
Thank you for sharing. So right now, I need to shut this camera off. We got another 5 minutes to go. Oh, that's it. Oh, wow. Oh, that's. I would have think. You know, I often like to ask that question because everyone's definition of love is very different. We're all coming from our different walks of life, and we've been exposed to different form of love. And sometimes we get out of that and we learn to love better. Sometimes we don't. We just stay within that confinement of what we think love is. And sometimes love is abuse by
Well,
definition.
yeah, it's not love, but yeah,
Right.
that's what people know as love. Yeah,
People
and
know
it's so
that, yeah,
sad, right?
yeah. Very, so when I know it's a completely one of those questions you throw out there, but it's so important to throw it out there because I want to know where people are with that. Like for me, I know I had to learn to love myself, to take care of myself, because so many things. Like I have a brother of mine who is on drugs, right? And I don't know if he's ever going to get off that, right? So the best that I can do for him is to be strong. None of our family member has ever been in that sort of thing before. So I don't know. It's one of these things. So when I do meet him, when we see each other, I haven't seen him for years now, but when we do see each other, we always have a good vibration going, right? Because I'm not there to judge him,
That's
to
so
say,
powerful.
look at what you're doing. Look at you now. You know, I can't believe we grew up together. We used to wear our older brother clothing and sneak out the house together and do all these crazy, funky things together. And now look at what you're doing with your life. I don't judge him. So I think that there's that line of comfort between us and our relationship that we have, right? Who am I to judge him? You know, he's going through that phase. He has to go through that phase to come out of it. If he doesn't come out of it, then I will hope that he live his life the way he wanted to live it. And I think that has to be love. Just accepting for who he is.
That is so powerful. Acceptance, like holding space for someone wherever they are.
Mm-hmm.
That's the perfect thing you could be doing for your brother.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
when did you learn, say to yourself, okay, I'm Chandra. I want to learn how to love myself. From today's forward, I am going to start working on it. What was that moment for you?
I don't know that there's one moment. There's been so many moments for me in the healing journey with my body, which is like so intertwined with the journey of my soul. Yeah. I think perhaps a couple of years ago when I started facing the wounds that I had around the religion and realizing that I actually do believe in a divinity and God and a loving God, and started, connecting with that and having a desire to become more loving in that way.
I forgot. I should have practiced what you did when the beat came around, but it's muscle reflex. Chandra, I can't help myself. It's muscle reflex. I was like, oops, what is going on? Good times, yeah. I have to get used to that.
It's a tricky word, God,
Yeah.
right? And I'm always hesitant to talk about my feelings around that.
Yeah.
For
Why
me.
is it tricky?
Well, I feel like religion and what people have around it, and a lot of people are wounded around religion, and then there are people that are in their different faiths and they think that they're right and this one's right. And really, for me, the divine is what we're all seeking. We're like to connect with our souls, and for me, in my experience, God is very loving. Is love, and love and truth go hand in hand, and so, I seek that.
I take that. I think that's a fair, legit statement. But don't you think that also, perhaps, maybe, is it possible that we can separate religion from God?
Yes.
We can.
In fact, it's good.
Okay, because that separation, it's important. Oh, what happened here? Oh, interesting. I didn't know it could do that. Okay, so if we separate religion from God,
Beautiful things happen.
beautiful things does happen. We separate the people from the belief. Another beautiful thing would happen.
I get shivers just thinking about it.
Yeah, but is that ever going to happen?
Person by person. You know, when you grow in love, then dogma, rules fall away, and love leads you. And my number one question is in life is, what would love do?
On that note, on that note, thank you so much for being on the show. This was absolutely one of the most powerful podcasts I've had. Yeah, thank you so much, Chandra, for being here, and I wish you nothing but blessings and well on your life journey and everything else. Any final words?
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here in this moment and excited for you. I think you're doing a really good thing. Yeah, thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Chandra.